I was thinking about this story, a tale of an African king and his young friend. As a prince, as he was growing up, he had a friend that he would spend a lot of his time with, and his friend was the eternal optimist. As they were enjoying things in life, his friend would always say, "This is good." And as they grew up and the prince became a king and assumed responsibility of the kingdom, he appointed his friend from childhood into his inner court and to be his personal assistant to work with him. And as they were working together, this individual would do a lot of work for the king. And one of the things that the king enjoyed doing was trophy hunting. He enjoyed trophy hunting for the meat and for the trophies. And so he invited his personal attendant to go and be his armor bearer, to carry his arms and to load the gun, to fill it with powder, drop the ball in and to load it. And this one time they were off on a hunt, on a trophy hunt, and they saw what they were looking for, and the king asked for his weapon, and so his friend from childhood handed him the gun, and the king pulled back the hammer and fired, and boom! The explosion caused his thumb to be blown off. And there was a mismanagement of powder or something went wrong, and the king looked down, and as he's holding his thumb and wrapping it and bleeding all over the place, he said, "Oh, what did you do? What did you do?" And his friend looked at him, as he always had from childhood, and said, "This is good." And the king said, "How could this be good? You blew off my thumb, you idiot. What are you doing?" So they ran back into the kingdom, and he had his childhood friend thrown into prison, into the deepest cell of the prison, where there was no daylight. And he went on for some time. He found a new personal assistant to go with him on his trophy hunts. And there's another time now that the king is healed up and he's on a trophy hunt. And while he's out there, he comes across a group of vicious cannibals. And they're surrounding him, and this friend of his, this new personal attendant, is not loyal like his other friend, and so he drops the weapon and he takes off. He gets out of there. They, of course, capture the king, and as they get him back to camp and they're getting him prepared for the sacrificial meal where they're going to eat him, the individuals who are preparing him realize that he is missing a thumb, and so they go to the high priest and others that they're talking with there, and they recognize, hey, we can't eat this guy because he's deformed, and it would bring a curse on our clan. So they let him go. And the king runs back as fast as he can to the kingdom, and he goes right to the prison cell where his friend's at. He orders him to be released, and his friend comes out, and he sees the light, and he's blinking because of the light, and he says, "Oh." And the king says, I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. He falls down, and he explains everything, and he said, "I'm sorry I locked you away." And his friend said, "This is good." And the king said, "What do you mean this is good? You've been rotting in a prison cell with no food and no interaction and no daylight, and I almost got eaten by cannibals, and I just released you. How can you say this is good?" And his friend said, "Because if I had been with you, I would have had a good thumb."